Let's give this a shot. What's up, everybody? Bootsy Greenwood here. I'm coming to you in front of a lot of books, and there is a reason for that. I think a lot of gurus and YouTubers and researchers and people who want to have a lot of credibility will often sit in front of a bunch of books. Well, the reason why I'm sitting in front of a bunch of books is because none of these books, not a single one, has the answer that you're looking for. I want to talk about not being a parody. I want to talk about originality, uniqueness. I want to talk about what makes you you and what will actually make you succeed as opposed to what will get you mediocre results. All the books behind me, and including Reality Transurfing even, if I'm honest, will mostly get you mediocre results. Now, if you listen to the points in many of the books, which are mostly leading you to yourself, then in that case, the books will lead you to yourself, and that can lead you to great success, to fulfillment, to whatever it is that you desire. People ask me a lot to share my story. I don't like to really share too much. I'm kind of a private person, honestly. I didn't want to share to begin with. I didn't want to start this channel to begin with. But what made me do it was the voice inside me. And when we talk about reality transurfing, the first thing that he mentions is the rustle of the morning stars. He talks about his own personal experience going into the dream world. And that's what I want to highlight today. I want to highlight how not to be a parody. And this is a nuanced point, and all of the advanced stuff that I'm talking about is very nuanced. That's the point. This is not beginner stuff. But anyone, I think, could really benefit from this particular lesson. Because the things that I have done in my life that have become what you could call successful have not come from any book, have not come from any other person's mouth, any guru, any coach. No one. No one has showed me the things that have given me any inkling of success. And I'm not some rich person who has Lambos and all that shit. I just don't. That's not important to me. And I don't know, maybe I should have those things so that I could prove to you what could be done or whatever. That's fine. I'm not really concerned about that. And especially not for the purposes of this particular video. Because what I want to highlight to you is I've had some things happen, right? Like when I first started reality transurfing, I had zero goals. I worked in a bar, I smoked cigarettes and drank, and I was just a kind of a listless lush, if I'm completely honest with you. So I wasn't really searching for anything. I was just kind of sad and depressed. And ultimately, reality transurfing gave me the freedom to acknowledge where I really was and see the pendulums that I had been serving in my own life. And I had already been very familiar with a lot of things in the conspiracy movement, a lot of things in the spirituality movement, but it gave me the ability to understand that, first of all, I don't have to change the world. You don't have to change the world. And in fact, when you try to change the world punishes you for it. So I don't recommend trying to do that, okay? That doesn't mean be completely passive either. Again, this is a nuanced video, so it doesn't mean that you shouldn't make adjustments. But when you go out as if you're the second coming or something and you try and change the world, that is going to blow up in your face tremendously. So don't do that. But what you should do is you should listen to your inner voice. I had someone post in our Facebook group, which I would invite you all to join. I post a lot of the same stuff in Telegram as well. But on Facebook, we have a group, and someone posted today that these terrible things had happened to them. They were previously on this wave of fortune, and then these terrible things had happened, and they're not sure how these terrible things happened and how they got off track. This is a very relatable experience to me and probably to most people. And the first thing I want to say about that is that bad things are going to happen in this life. No one escapes death. No one escapes a tragedy, right? Like in my family, a couple of years ago, we had a murder-suicide. So shit happens, right? And that is just what it is. You can't control those things. So, when we are doing so well and then all of a sudden a tragic event occurs, we need to understand that we don't have any power over any of those tragic events anyway. But when those things do happen and we start to ask and grasp for straws and try to figure out what the hell happened here, what we need to do is listen. We have to listen inside of ourselves. We have to listen to that rustle of the morning stars. I'm not saying no one can help you. People can help you and people will help you. People are very kind. But I want to give you some examples and sort of tie this together. Okay? Any of the things that I've ever done in my life that have been successful are not a template. They didn't come from someone else's program. They weren't me implementing some step-by-step infrastructure because so-and-so did it this way. They weren't parodies. They weren't completely in the box solutions. Okay? And I think that's going to be the case for you. Now, what I want to point out is that in the box solutions and other people's insights and experience can be incredibly, if not extremely valuable to you. So that doesn't mean that you just don't listen to anyone's help. Once, these books are very helpful, especially when it comes to making adjustments. But as far as what it is that you're supposed to do, no one can give you that answer. And I probably will make a video about the hero's journey and how that relates to all of this as well, because there's something in the middle of the hero's journey called the abyss, where we're lost. We don't understand what it is that we're trying to learn, and we have to figure it out ourselves, and no one can do it for us. There's some things that we just have to figure out ourselves. And it's not the first time that I myself have been in the abyss. I'm in the abyss right now in a couple of ways, if I'm honest. And that's just part of the process. It's okay. It may feel like things are going horribly wrong and all of those things. I can completely relate. I think most people can. That's just part of this human experience. So first thing I would say is don't blame yourself, because there are circumstances that are outside of your control that are just part of the way that this world operates, right? We can't change that. We can't change the fact that we're going to die someday. That's just how it is. We can't change the fact that we're aging. That's just how it is. You can do the best you can with that. You can, create good routines for yourself. You can do skin treatment. You can go to the gym. You can eat well, but you're gonna die. It's so funny in spirituality. I think people are looking for such a shortcut, and spirituality, it can give you a shortcut, but what do you expect that shortcut to be? Do you expect it to take a 10-year process and shortcut it to 2 years? Because that's not reasonable. Do you expect it to take a 10-year process and shortcut it to 7 or 8 years? That's more reasonable. What's probably more likely and realistic is to just stick to the length of the process that you've undertaken and use spirituality to learn the process better, to embrace the process, to embrace the struggle, and to grow stronger as a result of it, to take more in, to be more present, and to really just enjoy and experience whatever that is that you're trying to do in a more healthy way, if that makes sense. Now, a couple of the things that I've done. In 2018, I started an Airbnb business. This was largely something that I did not know other people were doing. It was called Airbnb arbitrage. It was an idea that I had myself. It was a rustle of the morning stars. And in 2018, I started a business doing it, and we did pretty well. We found a couple of partners, and within the first year, we did like 80 grand. The second year, we were on track to do, well over, 6 figures. And the pandemic happened in 2020. So the pandemic happened. I had created this business and, relatively speaking, automated most of the processes in it. So, I wasn't having to do all the things, but we were really enjoying it. It was a very lucrative business for us. It was a great secondary income, and it freed me up to go and work on cruise ships and do, other things that were part of my dream. And in 2020, boom, Airbnb said, we're going to refund everybody regardless of your refund policy because it's the right thing to do. And let me tell you, buddy, how excited I was to hear a giant corporation tell me what the right thing to do was. So yeah, so that was a struggle and that was difficult. Creating the audiobook for Reality Transurfing, that was something that I felt like I needed to do. It wasn't something that someone else told me to do. Making the videos that are the most popular videos on my channel, where I'm talking about the breakdowns of each chapter, that was something that I felt like I should do. At the time, no one was talking about reality transurfing. And I thought that I could add a little bit of insight and a little bit of value into the YouTube world. Since then, I've had people take videos of mine down. I've been shadow banned and all kinds of other things as part of that whole deal. And then I've had people tell me, hey, you should do this. And I have people now, who are in marketing and stuff, and they're like, oh, do this, do that. And these are things, I think that this is where the nuance lies, right? I don't want you to think, oh, well, if it didn't come from me, then it's not worth doing. Or if it didn't come from me, then it's bullshit. Because that's not necessarily true, right? Like, there were things that I could have done to make my channel better that were recommended to me, right? Things like, you should update your thumbnails. And I should have, right? But if you are doing something that is sort of an in-the-box process that you got from someone else that you expect to see results on, and I've done this too and had largely little success with those types of processes, I wouldn't expect a whole lot. Initially, the idea, it needs to come from within us. It needs to be something that we have grasped from internally, from the rustle of the morning stars. In 2022, I started an Instagram page called Athens Comedy to bring the comedy scene here in my community together. And since I started that, I've built it to, it's been just over a year and maybe a half since it was like November 2022. So I don't know, however long that's been. It was like Thanksgiving of 2022. And so within about a year, I was able to build that Instagram up to about 13,000 now is what it's at. And book a couple of shows that are both weekly for me doing comedy. As many of you know, I've been pursuing the art of stand-up comedy for a few years now. I started it must have been like 2018 was the first time I ever did stand-up. And then I wasn't really sold on doing stand-up until I had done it enough and some of the other projects that I was working on kind of fizzled out. But that was something that was intuitive for me. It wasn't that someone came to me and said, hey, you know what you should do? You should try to monopolize the comedy scene. I'm like, whoa, wait, take it easy, create a thing and then try to dictate it or whatever. It's like, no, that wasn't ever the thing. The whole idea and the whole point was outer intention, right? So that I was providing something of value to the community that helped me and that served them at the same time, right? For me to have a thriving comedy scene here in my hometown is very beneficial for me, especially if I leave and come back, which is my ultimate kind of goal. Not that I want to like leave, but I don't expect to just be here. I'm going on tour at the early part of April, and I want to travel more and do more stuff with comedy. It's fun. But creating that has created value for a lot of people. It's been something that was intuitive to me. And if I handed you the process from the box and I said, oh, why don't you do this? Because I did it and I had success. So, the concept is proven and you can do the same thing. It doesn't mean that it's going to work the same for you. Now, there are many insights that I've gleaned from how I've built the Instagram page. And I could talk about that ad nauseum at length because, to me, I couldn't have cared less about Instagram a few years ago. But when I saw the opportunity to really bring our scene together and create a community with it, then it all of a sudden became more valuable. And I'm starting to create the posts and the connect the scenes and the shows so that I could, connect with other comedians, get on shows, help to produce shows. And now I'm producing shows and other people are producing shows, but it's a very, I would say, autonomous kind of network. No one's at the head of it like, oh, this is my thing. It's not like that. But I knew sort of intuitively what to do. And I saw some other Instagram pages and what they had done. And I took those processes and said, okay, well, this is something that we could probably use that could be valuable for us in our community, right? Let's highlight the people who are coming to town. Let's highlight the local comedians and shows. And now I'm seeing other communities do it. And some of them are having, some success doing it, but it's going to be different in each particular iteration. You can't just take what I did and then copy it. That's a parody. Now it's not the same. Do you understand how that takes away all the life from it? Vadim says that anything made with soul is very expensive. What does that mean? That's something worth meditating on for weeks, honestly. But those are a couple of the things that I've done. I started a cleaning business a couple of years ago too, because the Airbnb thing failed. And that was something that was, I would say, a lot more in the box type of thing. But it turns out that that's something that I can really share with some other people. And as that grows and as we allow our niche to sort of surface, we'll find other better ways to use that business and leverage the services that we offer there. But yeah, within the past, I would say since really 2016 is when I really started to practice and understand, really got a hold of transurfing at all. And then I started making those audiobooks. That was intuitive. And the transurfing people were sharing them out. So I was like, okay, I got the green light. So I made all the chapters and I put those out. And then in 2018, I started making videos for transurfing specific concepts, breaking down each and every one of the chapters. And that was completely intuitive. I didn't really want to do that. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm kind of a private person. I don't really want to share my shit out there for a number of reasons. But I do want to help people and I do want to see other people succeed. But there is an element to our success. There is an element to what we are doing that has nothing to do with anybody else and no one can show you. If you remember the scene in Star Wars with Luke Skywalker, where he has to raise the Jedi fighter jet out of the mud and he's in his training. He can't do it and he's struggling. It's just brutal. Well, that is the abyss. And that is part of the hero's journey. I will make a video specifically about the hero's journey, but I want to highlight this particular aspect of it because it's probably the most important. It's a place where you feel alone. It's a place where you don't know. It's a place where no one else can help you but you. And it's the only place where you can dig deep into yourself and find the answer internally through the rustle of the morning stars. It is those things that are intuitive. It is those things that are internal that will set us apart. No one is coming to show you genius. Your genius, it lives in you. It breathes and exists within you, and you have to be able to recognize that. And I think the most important thing that you could do is just find a way to take time to explore that. If that's going out into the woods for a couple of days, doing a vision quest, fasting for a couple of days, just taking a walk every single day or every week. Whatever it is that you can do, it doesn't matter what the practice is, but you've got to learn to listen to that rustle of the morning stars. Largely, the rest of the book is irrelevant. If you don't listen to the rustle of the morning stars, you will be a parody. You will be essentially a worker in a factory, in the machine. That's it. The only way out is through the rustle of the morning stars. And again, that doesn't mean that once you've figured out a direction and a path that you don't take advice from people who understand and who have been there, who can help you. Of course do that. Of course tweak. Like if I could go back, could have done so much more. I could have made my channel huge. I didn't want that at the time, to be honest. I didn't want to be a YouTuber. And maybe that was foolish. Looking back, I think that was kind of foolish. But, that doesn't mean that I can't help other people, with these same ideas and that I don't, and that doesn't mean that I can't take what I've learned and leverage that for whatever my next project is, whatever the next thing I want to do is, and learn and grow as a result of that, right? In fact, that is it. The only way to go forward is through failure. But as I was taking a walk today, I realized that the things that I've done in my life, the things that really have had an impact, no one told me to do those things. No one. No one told me to do it. It came from within me. And once I started to put those processes into action and do the things that I intuitively just knew to do, it would have been very helpful to have other people to help me tweak. But those processes, they cannot be replicated, really. They cannot be taken and reused, not to the same effectiveness. To a certain point they can, but again, that's a parody. And I don't think you want to be a parody. I think you want to have a completely unique and original expression in whatever it is that you do. That is what will allow you to not be marginalized. That is what will allow you not to be shoved to the middle in a marketplace. Because if you have something that's very specific, that's very unique and completely distinguished from everything else, that is something that is made with soul, and that is very expensive. And it commands a very high price. So I encourage you to look within yourself. I also encourage you to read the books. Read the books and learn from the books. I've read thousands of books. Easy, man. I mean, and my curiosity is never satiated. Education doesn't end. But ultimately, you have to learn to trust yourself. Because if you can't trust yourself, you certainly can't trust anyone else. And sometimes these lessons are very difficult. Sometimes they're very painful. Sometimes we don't want to learn these lessons. And some things are out of our control. And we just have to accept them. You're not going to stay on the wave of fortune forever. It doesn't work that way. You're not going to avoid every tragedy in life. These are rites of passage. We all die at the end. Spoiler alert. So just keep that in mind. And in the meantime, do the best that you can. Embrace the heartbreak at the best that you can. I'm not saying that it's easy. Trust me, I've had my heart broken dozens of times. More in business probably than even in relationships. But hey, a broken heart is wide open. If you can learn to accept those things, then it will open you up to new pathways, to new directions, and to new insights. So I hope that's helpful. People ask me a lot to share my experiences. The one thing that I can say, because I don't want to brag, like, oh, look what I did. And it's not really that impressive, if I'm honest, right? Like I'm not driving Lambos, bro. I really don't care about that. It doesn't matter to me. Not that it wouldn't be fun to do it. Like maybe I should just do it. Maybe I will. But, to me, it's really not about that. The true riches to me are the people that I have in my life. I had someone not too long ago send me a message and they were like, if you could jump to some crazy, weird reality, whatever it is, what would you do? Where would you go? And I'm like, dude, I would stay here. I mean, maybe I failed your test by answering that, but I have the most amazing network of people around me that I truly love. They're real friends. They're real people. And I don't think there's a price tag that you could put on that. From there, I think it's about building abundance and winning more and more. But, you know, it's funny. And I don't think people understand how valuable the little things are until they're gone. And then, and then we think that we're on a death spiral or something. And hey, those feelings are very real. I'm not trying to minimize those. I want to encourage you, if whatever you're going through, you know, accept the way you feel and go through the stages of grief. I've done videos about that as well. You know, it's about acceptance, and that's not easy, right? But the shortcuts are not, oh, look, I'm on the highest timeline. That's not how it works. Spirituality doesn't jump cut you, as Jessa Reed says. That's a beautiful quote. There are no jump cuts. You will do the work, or else you will not get the result. And stay with it. Listen to yourself. Take a walk. Take a moment. Love on yourself. Give yourself the tools and the time that you need to be able to be successful, and however you define that. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So I'll have some more videos coming out. I was sick a couple of weeks ago, so I kind of stalled my progress, but I'll continue to be making some of these videos. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, I would like for you very much to smash that like button and subscribe. Back to parody mode. Also, you know, if you're interested in talking to me, I am putting an offer together for coaching. Be able to take a few people. If you're interested, I'm going to do probably a bundle of 4 calls minimum, but that will get you access to all the coursework that I've put together over the past couple of years, as well as one-on-one. I don't want to just sell a course. I think that's so lame. I'm going to at least do 4 hours of one-on-one time with any of my clients. But I do also want to share the value of the coursework, because it is very valuable. Some of the stuff that we put together over the past couple of years is, I mean, I would challenge anybody, anybody's course, you know, to be any better. Personally, I'll just say that anyway. Cool. So, you know, more details on that to come, and I want to wish you the best and say thank you. Thank you for watching this channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for digging for this information, because you probably likely had to. And have a great day. Much love. Many blessings. We'll see you next time.